If somebody doesn't have any talent, get off the stage.
Well,
You're
true.
wasting my time.
This is Theater Talk. I'm Susan Haskins. Here with me, my co-host, Michael Riedel of the New York Post. In a few minutes, we're going to talk about the Under the Radar Festival at the Public Theater. But first, a new interview with the woman who was voted the #1 most popular Theater Talk guest in our recent Theater Talk viewer poll, Elaine Stritch.
She's been on this show, I think, 3 or 4 times now. She was recently up at the Carlyle Hotel, where she had a wonderful club back there. And we took the cameras up there, and we met her in her suite at the hotel. And she had us in stitches. So we want to show you all the fun we had with Elaine on our show tonight.
We're celebrating 10 years.
And God love
10
you.
years
I'm
of
so
Theater Talk.
proud of you, and I'm so happy about it because it's a good show.
Now, you've been a fan of the show for a long time,
Absolutely.
correct? What is it that you...
Especially when I'm on it.
Yeah.
Then I am crazy about it. No, it's a good show.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see any bullshit alive in the air.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's all straightforward stuff. I think people from the theater are, they love being honest.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they don't get the opportunity to do it too many times.
Mm-hmm.
But I think to be honest in show business is a privilege, and you have to be very strong to tell the truth in this business. It's not interesting unless it's the truth,
Yeah.
unless you're doing Sound of Music.
Yeah. Looking back on the last 10 years or so that Theater Talk has been on the air, one of the performances of yours that I just admired tremendously was A Delicate Balance, the revival you did on
Thank you.
on
Thank
Broadway.
You. I'm
you-
awfully glad you liked it because it was
was
not easy.
Why?
Why?
The play itself, the role itself? or just-
Everything. The stage, walking in the stage door was tough.
Why?
Because this is one tough play. And my big thing in the theater is to make people in the audience understand what I'm talking about. And Edward Albee is not, I like in New York in June, how about you? You know, that's what I did when I had the song Here's to the Ladies Who Lunch or any Sondheim. I said, whatever happened to I like New York in June, how about you? If I could just have lyrics like that, I wouldn't go up in them. The thing that saved me is Gutierrez.
Jerry Gutierrez, the late director.
The late Larry Gutierrez, and that's one conversation I want to have with the Almighty. If I ever get to meet him, I want to talk to him about taking Gutierrez.
How helpful is Edward when you're trying to decipher his
Oh,
speeches?
good. He's good as a writer, but I'm talking about as a director.
Yeah.
And maybe Edward Albee would take offense at that, but he's a writer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've never been directed by him, but I'd rather have Jerry Gutierrez come in.
Was it hard personally to play that part? To
Yes.
Go back into playing an alcoholic and all the things, memories that
better.
stirs up for you?
Sure, it all stirred up for me, but it was much easier because I knew about alcoholism.
Yeah.
Much easier. I had simpatico for the woman before I even opened my mouth.
Yeah.
And more understanding of how tough it is to be a drinker.
Yeah.
That's out of control. My God Almighty.
The other great memory of mine for the last 10 years in theater was your great show at Liberty, your one-woman show.
Yeah.
Started out at the Public Theater. And in fact, your very first time that you visited us on Theater Talk, you had a little twinkle in the eye, and you said you were working on a show about your life, and that was just the very early beginnings.
Yeah, that's true. I'd forgotten about
of
that.
at Liberty.
Michael.
You hadn't come up with a title
right,
yet.
Right.
You were talking
No, you
about
were
it.
just thinking about doing something when you first came on our show.
Oh, so it was what is that saying about I was a twinkle in my father's eye?
Yeah, you were a twinkle in your own eye.
Or in John Lars.
What I loved about it, though, so much is that when someone says, before you did the show, Elaine Stritch is going to do a show, or any great Broadway star is going to do a show, you get a sense, you're going to trot out the greatest hits of and run through it like that. But you deliberately did not do that in this show.
Oh, no. I had fatter fish to fry than just shows I'd been in. I had adult-sized problems growing up in the theater. And incidentally, you know what the good, bad / news is. I've still got them. They're just maturing.
Yeah.
And it's something they say about, well, it's something I say that about my whole life. It doesn't get better, it gets different. And I'm not complaining, because I've got a pretty good life.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
I mean, but here's what is the best thing I found out about myself. The very best thing I found out about life in general, that talent is a killer. That's what I found out. Most important of anything that and I don't think I think most talented people would say, are you kidding? They never thought to say it.
Right.
Because it just didn't, it was like an foxy, schmuxy moron, you know.
Now, how is it a killer?
It's a killer because once you're talented, real talent I'm talking about here now, you invite everybody to the party. Everybody's in on it. Everybody wants to be talented. All the people that aren't talented are not enjoying it so much, and most people are, but you don't. It's jealousy of other human beings. You know, it's like somebody said to me about the theater the other day. I was telling them a story, and I think it was, who was it? Might have been Hal Prince, but I don't think it was. I can't remember who it was. But I said, you know, something's always worried me about the theater. I heard all these stories about producers casting couches. I'm not even talking about California yet. I'm just talking about New York. This little island here has a lot of that going on here. Elaine, how did you ever escape? I said, nobody ever asked me. And I'm looking around like, who, qui, moi? I didn't know about that. And I said, wait a minute, why do you think that was? Geez, I wish I could think of who said this to me. And somebody at the conversation said, I can tell you why. They were scared to death of you. Now, that's a big surprise.
But,
Getting back to this talent thing, Michael.
Yep.
You got the talent, let's say the rest of the company knows it, and unless you got a crackerjack bunch, they get jealous of you, and then you get lonely.
Anyone that you've ever been jealous of? Anyone that you've said, now that's an amazing talent that I'm starting to feel envious
I
of?
found something else out about myself.
Yeah.
If somebody doesn't have any talent, get off the stage. You're wasting my time. But if they've got it, and I'm talking about Mama Rose kind of talent, you've either got it or you've had it.
Right.
And I'll tell you, I haven't got a jealous bone in my body. I am so uplifted by seeing talent. I can't stop crying, applauding, screaming, and I had a recent, I'm so thrilled that it happened to me just a few weeks ago when I saw Christine Ebersol in Grey Gardens. That's coffee. That's coffee. That's talent.
Yeah.
That somebody said to me, I won't go into that. I'll only tell you that girl knocks my socks off. Meryl Streep destroys me.
Did you see her Mother Courage this past summer?
No, I don't want to see anybody's Mother Courage. Hello? I don't want to see my Mother Courage. Now that's going as far as you can go. Oh, no. And I'm going to get a laugh now, because I can't even remember who wrote it. But I think he should forget it. I don't think they should publish Mother Courage anymore. You know what I'm saying? Somebody said to me once, a musical. I said, what, do you want to torture people? A musical of Mother Courage? Yeah.
Great.
Oh, God.
All right.
Oh,
Just
God.
last question.
Last question.
Aside from your fabulous performances.
Oh, there's my friend.
Yes, your boyfriend.
Ah,
Your boyfriend.
I love this man. I love this man.
Has he been by the Carlyle now to
As
see
he
you?
is the Pope Catholic. Of course he has. And he calls me from Boston and everything. And he cheers me up about talent.
Yeah.
Like, oh, so few people have ever. Because I've got it.
Yeah.
And I'm not the least bit ashamed to admit it. But boy, when I tell you, it's a lot of luggage.
And that's why you built the armor up over the years?
You bet. You're bottom.
Yeah. But you're going to London to do a Noel Coward review.
I'm hoping to. It's not signed and sealed, but it's by the wonderful, 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 talented John Doyle.
Right. Who's got company on
Got
Broadway.
company on its way in and did that brilliant production of Sweeney Todd.
But you won't go to see this company because you don't want to intimidate the actors
I'm
playing
certainly
your
not
role.
going to go to the opening night.
Are you going to sneak in?
I'd like to see. I told the Barbara
Walsh.
Barbara Walsh,
Yeah.
who's playing my part, and I told her that if she's worried about me at the opening, I wasn't going to be there. I'd worry about the rest of the folks, not me. I'm the last person you have to worry about. But you're playing a part that somebody else.
Sure.
I know when I did Call Me Madam,
Yeah.
and I opened in Washington.
Yeah.
You want to know who was in the second? I have to be honest.
Ethel
Ethel Merman.
Did she do that deliberately to undermine you?
I don't
to
know why
rattle
she
your
did it.
courage?
She just did it, and I loved her for it because I was so strong after that performance. It's like if I can do this, I can certainly play
Yeah.
Cleveland.
Maybe that's why she did
I mean,
it.
give me a break. I wasn't afraid of anything after that. Oh yeah. And you know what she did?
Yeah.
She walked by. Things have changed. She walked by. When you're on the stage and there's the wings of the theater, and I'm ready to go up. Here's the audience. Here's me.
Right.
And the opening of Call Me Madam was one of the funniest openings of any musical comedy I've ever seen. It's that I will well and faithfully discharge. She was going to go be the Madam Ambassador to Lichtenberg.
Right.
That I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of my office. Blah 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 blah. So help me God. Charlie, where the hell is Lichtenberg? Now that's the opening. You can't have a better opening than that.
Right.
And especially when you hear Ethel Merman doing that.
Yeah.
Well, I was pretty good at it myself. So here I am getting ready. Drum roll, boom, and I am shaking. Please, I've had a brandy, but it doesn't seem to be working. And I should have had 7. And I'm like this, boom, 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 boom. And all of a sudden, I see the Ethel Merman come in that thing that looks out on the stage.
Right.
You know what she did? Brilliant. She looked at me, and I'm going, oh, Jesus Christ. And I'm saying my rosary as we speak, And she looks out at me and she says, bye! Isn't that awful? And then she's in the second row. So.
Listen, if you were in this production of a company, everyone has to play a musical instrument. Which musical instrument would
Would
you
I
play?
play?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I'd whistle a little before. No, that's not considered. What musical instrument would I play? That's I play the piano a little bit,
Oh, yeah.
but that's Bobby's.
Right.
So we can't touch that with a 10-foot
course, yeah,
pole.
right. In this production, yeah.
But I think it's very funny what they've given Joanne to play.
What? I haven't seen it yet.
It's a thing, a drummer's triangle.
Oh, a triangle.
Well, you
Triangle.
could do that.
What?
You could do
I'm not
that.
saying I couldn't do it. I just think it's funny that that's what they chose to give her. I think I'd rather have
A drum. Or a kazoo.
But I love the fact she's something to do with the drummer. I wish them well. And I am going to go in and see a preview because I'm so anxious to see the company done that way. It's just really... and I said one thing I was interviewed by
Lillian Russell?
Lillian.
Yeah.
Lillian
Ross.
Russell.
Sorry,
Oh, she'd love that. I get her mixed up with the alcoholic. Lillian
Yes,
Ross.
yes.
Lillian Ross.
It's Lillian Ross.
Right.
And is she a sharp broad?
Oh, yeah, she's tough.
Oh, wow.
She's tough.
And
For a
tough
New Yorker profile that's coming out on you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's coming out on the interview together with Barbara.
Walsh, right. The
Walsh.
Ladies Who Lunch.
Yeah, about playing that part 30 years later. And, blah, blah, blah. And I told Barbara, I said, there's the only thing worse being in your shoes tonight in this interview here is being in mine. Because it's very difficult for me to tell you and mean it how I wish you well. And what I want to do is mean it.
Right.
And it must be hard. It's hard to open when you're not doing anybody's part but your own.
Right.
But to know that you're playing somebody else's part, especially if that person made as much of a whappo as I did.
Well, yeah, you can't hear that song without thinking of your voice.
Of course. And I like it that way. You know what I'm saying? I like it that way. But if you can feel that way and wish her all the luck in the world,
Yeah.
then I'm your man.
Great.
Okay?
That it?
That's it. Thank you.
Why didn't you say
Terrific.
Because
anything?
when I started, he cut me off.
I don't know how you
Asshole.
take. It's like George and Martha and Virginia Woolf, the two. Only you don't fight.
Only I'm
Well, I'm
Martha,
not gonna-
she's George.
I'm not going to interrupt you, Susan. I'll let you talk.
Absolutely right on.
We're going to talk now about theater in the future, and if theater even has a future.
I
How are
hope
we
so.
going-
We're all out of jobs.
That's over. Cancel those grants. So, moving into the 21st century, how will producers attract new audiences? We're going to discuss that with our guests. Mark Russell, who is the producer and curator of the Under the Radar Festival at the Public Theater, and Aaron Riccio, drama critic, who is now the coordinator and chief editor of Theater Talk's new Theater Core blog, which is a group of a number of young drama critics writing about theater in the 21st century. Mark, what is cutting edge today in the theater, and how are you going to get people to come to it?
Oh my God.
Yes, Mark, give us your
Okay, just a
broad
short
definition
How
of
much time do you
cutting
have?
edge.
The way we're approaching it is
All
we're
right.
doing a festival.
Yes,
We're
good.
doing the Under the Radar Festival,
Good.
which is trying to take a scope of all the things going on around the world, not just New York City, in that is sort of emerging artists, as small scale work. I think theater is going back to its basics, which is actually more in smaller rooms, where you can really hear, you don't have to be mic'd, that kind of thing. And people are going right back to the essence of the theatrical moment.
Right.
And so we've put together a bunch of folks that, like almost 15 shows, that'll happen over 2 weeks from the 17th of January to the 28th. And most of them will be centered at the Public Theater. And they're only $15 a show. So it's something that, it's using the film festival method of creating something around the theater and trying to open up and introduce people to the theater in that way.
Mm-hmm. Now, Aaron, is that something that you, as a young person, would go to? And let me ask you this differently. Why would you, as a technologically savvy blogger, decide to go out and go schlepping over to the Public Theater to see some theater?
I mean, for me, what gets me out to the theater is just, seeing that there's new, innovative stuff going on. For me, that's always the appeal, is seeing something new, the chance to see something when it first breaks. It's not enough to just go see something that, has opened to critical acclaim or that everyone's talking about. It's seeing that thing when it first happens that really draws me into the theater. And I think a lot of people who are on the web and using a lot of the internet stuff get drawn in by that new big thing, the viral videos or all that stuff. They want to be there when it breaks. They want to be there and they want to tell everybody about it.
So how are you finding the things for your festival?
Well, I go out all the time. I'm looking all the time. I get hundreds of DVDs and videotapes, and I travel and go to festivals and that kind of thing.
What a job.
It's a job.
This is great. You're all over the place.
I should say Mark was at PS 122
For about 21
for
years.
21 years, and you really had, established the standard of the discoverer of great new talent. So it's no surprise they have you doing that.
Give us a sense of the festival that you have about to happen now at the Public Theater. 2 or 3 things that you really think the town's going to respond to, stuff that you're excited about to have here.
There's so much, and they're all my children, so I hate to pick them out. But
We're going to ask you to
I
pick
know
out
you
a couple
are.
of them.
I think you should see A Beautiful View by Daniel McIver. Now, he's had some success in the city already, but this is a beautiful piece about 2 women and their relationship over 30 years. And that's about all I can tell you about.
Is it now we're talking
It's
about
just a two-hander.
and we're talking about cutting edge, but is it a kind of old-fashioned two-hander? Is it an old two-hander structure play?
In the structure of it, he has different ways of tweaking the structure. Daniel McIver plays our Dada Camera play, his production company, usually has a minimum set, done with a lot of sound design and lights, and maybe there's a pup tent and 2 actors. And so he uses the stage space to make the imagination go those other places that a lot of plays don't let you do.
And something else?
Yes, you should see Mike Daisy. Do you know about Mike Daisy?
No.
Mike Daisy is an amazing individual. He's a storyteller, a raconteur. He's does these things, and this one's called Invincible Summer. And he basically sits at a table with a glass of water and tells stories, but a really great interwoven story. And he has, however, it's not written down. It's all kind of extemporaneous.
Really?
You think this is a Spalding Gray type?
Yeah, I mean, he owes a lot to Spalding
That was
Gray,
a
but
huge,
there's
yeah.
certainly room. I miss Spalding Gray so much. And Mike Daisy comes as close as you can. It's a great thing. And this is about a very intense summer for him, and it's also worked into the history of the subway system and democracy and a lot of other things.
And
Aaron,
one more child of yours that
One more
gets
child,
a little
I would
raised
see,
above the
if you
other.
want to see the next thing,
Yeah.
go and see The Brothers' Size, written by Terrell McCraney. And he's a guy, he's not even out of Yale yet, and the actors aren't out of Yale yet, but they're coming down to do a 2-week engagement of this show called The Brothers' Size. And it's an African-American tale, contemporary, but he's using the names of his characters are the Orisha names. So Ugon, Osha, and those things.
Aaron, do you think that the shift back to more simple production values has something to do with the fact that on the internet anything is possible? And so maybe now the fact that anything is possible with special effects and technical things, that now people are looking again to the basic performer in the space incited, as you said, Mark, by the imagination.
I mean, I think when it comes down to it, it's all about the storytelling first. It's about seeing people. I mean, you go to theater to establish a connection, to have an emotional experience of some kind, to be moved, to be shaken up, whatever. But that's the primary reason to go to the theater. It's not for the spectacle, because you can get the spectacle anywhere these days. You can go on YouTube and download a video somebody made in their backyard, and that's, you know, I mean, it could be a spectacle. Cats falling from windows, the spectacle. Coming soon to Broadway. I mean,
it'll run 30 years if it's anything like the last one.
There's a show that's in the festival but not at the public theater, done by Caden Manson and the Big Art Group, called Dead Set, which has a lot of media, a lot of video and live editing and this kind of thing. And so there's that, probably completely cutting edge, takes it a little bit past the Wooster Group.
Right.
And then there's things like famous puppet death scenes, which is by a group from Canada, and it's a puppetry show.
Puppets have certainly taken off, haven't they, Michael?
Now, what do you guys say, though, to a more traditional audience, a kind of Broadway audience that expects more mainstream thing, who sort of looks at all this under-the-radar stuff and thinks, oh, you know, it's just going to be a collection of a freak show, grotesques, weirdo, strange stuff, no story, you know, guys with purple paint on their face, all that kind of stuff. I mean, do you understand that there's sometimes resistance to this kind of theater in the more mainstream world? What do you say to people, like myself, for example, who might think that way?
For me, I always go in there looking at this work, and if it speaks to my heart, then and I know that it's going to cut across those lines. And I think there's a lot of getting over the myth of downtown. Downtown is a state of mind. And also, if you get folks in, I mean, I also make a lot of this work and ask myself, would my dad like this? Would he get this? And he would get a lot of it, actually. You just have to put away some of your preconceptions about what a play is.
there's something to be said for the pleasant surprise of seeing things that you never expected to see before, to be moved in ways that you've never been moved before. I mean, I've seen a lot of Broadway things in my life, but the things where I'm most honestly surprised by something new is off-Broadway, just seeing all the new ways of telling stories. And I'm always astounded by the way people use space.
These are the theater companies that are working with the most contemporary material. You know, and they're devising it themselves, many of them. You know, so there may not be a director, they may not be a writer. They may be just an ensemble putting something together. They may be working with classical texts, but turning them inside out. And, but also, for the most part, they're speaking, for me, more to what's going on now. Because
Then what's going on Broadway?
than often what's going on Broadway, off-Broadway.
Come on, Tarzan is as relevant as that. What are you talking about? You snobby downtown
I
people.
am
think
such
you're
a
on the
snobby
cutting
downtown.
edge, but-
All right.
But listen, we encourage everyone to check out Under the Radar, the festival at the Public Theater.
And Aaron, what are you doing over there at the New Theater Corps blog?
Oh, we're trying to cover as many shows as we can. I mean, I know I'm definitely going to see Daniel McIver's A Beautiful View and Famous Puppet Deaths.
And you've linked us up to a lot of the other critics' blogs that are happening in the city now, too.
Yeah, I think a big thing is just everyone communicating with one another and spreading the word about all the shows out there. I mean, the biggest regret is that there are tons of shows opening and closing every day, and we miss some of them because we can't get out there. Got to find the ones that we really want to see.
Well, we'll direct our attention to your blog, Our blog,
Our
I guess,
blog,
the
yeah.
Theater Talk blog. And if you give it a good review, I'm going to go. You're the
all right.
Ben Brantley of the blogosphere right there.
There we
So
go.
watch out, Mark. He's a very powerful
Okay.
fellow.
Okay.
All right, Mark Russell from Under the Radar, the festival at the Public Theater, and Aaron Riccio, our blogger critic for Theater
Our
Talk.
blogger editor,
Our
yes.
blogger editor. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here's to the girls who stay smart, aren't they a gas?